Let me say what many Filipinos feel today. Overtaxed but underserved. Hindi po kulang ang buwis sa Pilipinas. Hindi rin mahirap ang Pilipinas. Kulang ang tiwala o mapagkakatiwalaan. And when trust is weak, compliance goes down. Ayaw magrehistro, ayaw magbayad ng buwis. The most uncomfortable truth. BIR and customs are corrupt. May pinasarang hardware o maliit na tindahan, pero political dynasty, the billionaires, walang kaso ng tax evasion. Kung hindi ka nagbabayad ng buwis, dapat kasuhan. The recent report of the Transparency International, Philippines scored 32, ranking 120th globally. Corruption is not just a governance issue, it is a competitiveness issue. Reform tax administration through a national revenue authority. It's time. It's time to end corruption. It's time to end harassment. It's time to put corrupt politicians in jail.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you to all our media for attending this unique Pandesal Forum on a very good, interesting topic. We have three experts on the topic that most people do not like. Kasi, di ba, sabi nila, they don't like debt and taxes. A happy Chinese New Year to everyone. We are very happy that even though holiday, itong masisipag na media friends natin, maaga nandito na kanina pa. We have today with us three outstanding speakers, experts on their field. We have Professor Cielo Magno Gatmaitan. Di ko lang, asawa pala ng school batchmate ko pala. Senator. And then also Mr. Mon Abrea and Miss Ann Puisia. I will introduce each one properly when they give their opening statement. We have a topic that is very important in tax reform in the Philippines, how to strengthen the BIR to fight the excessive corruption, and how to restore the lost public trust in our institutions. Let's start with Mr. Mon Abrea beside me. Si Mr. Mon Abrea is more known as accounting whiz. Expert siya sa taxes. We see him with celebrities who want to avoid tax problems. He is a legal avoidance, hindi siya tax evasion. He is global tax policy expert and chief tax advisor, trusted advisor to governments, international organizations, and investors. He has a master's in public administration from Harvard University, completed the executive tax policy program at Duke University, and earned advanced degrees also and studied courses at Oxford and others. Mr. Mon Abrea for his opening statement.
Gandang umaga po. First of all, thank you for joining us today. Happy Chinese New Year. Although New Year na lang yung gusto kong sabihin kasi yung Chinese controversial eh. After thanking you, I also would like to thank two of our new partners, allies in this more than a decade advocacy. I'm very happy na on my third return to Manila, I found a partner na hindi lang may advokasya, may talino at experience. So maraming salamat Prof. Shelo and hindi ito ang katapusan. Mukhang masimula ito na mahabang makikibaka. I was with BIR Commissioner yesterday at nagpasintabi ako na we will have this press conference. Sabi ko, ang headline po namin is to abolish BIR and customs. So just so you know, this has nothing to do with you, the leadership or your competence, but deeply rooted na kasi yung issue namin sa BIR at customs. Aside from corruption, it really protects the rich and powerful. Ni minsan wala tayong narinig na nakasuhan na makapangyarihang politiko despite this flood control scandal, and yet lagi nyo silang nalalagay sa news pag may pinasarang hardware o maliit na tindahan o may artista na hindi nakapagbayad ng tamang buwis, pero political dynasty, the billionaires, nagtitimpi ako, gusto ko nang banggitin yung mga pangalan, the billionaires, the dynasties, mga nagkamkam ng lupa sa probinsya, negosyo, kontrolado ang utilities, ang real estate businesses, and yet Walang kaso ng tax evasion. So sabi ko kay Charlie kahapon, kung gagawin kitang favorite BIR commissioner ko, kapag may nakasuhan ka na, kahit isa lang. Kasi nag-aantay kami. Hindi lang kami galit, nag-aantay kami kung may aasahan ba kami sa inyo. Or balik tayo sa dati, kunwari suspended, kunwari aayusin natin, tapos ngayon mag-iimbestiga ang Senado at Kongreso, sila nga yung gusto kong imbestigahan. Iimbestigahan din nila yung BIR examiner. So bago ko po simulan yung brief presentation ko, let's be honest. The most uncomfortable truth. BIR and customs are corrupt. Their examiners are corrupt. Kung merong hindi, humarap dito, bibigyan ko ng pera. Lahat naman tumanggap. But the reality is, marami sa atin hindi rehistrado, hindi nagbabayad ng buwis, gumagamit ng mga broker, walang importer's license, bumibili ng resibo, naglalagay. So, di nyo dapat tinatanong kung corrupt sila kasi naglagay kayo, so alam nyo yun. Kaya nagugulat ako ba't ginagawang issue ng Senado dahil ayaw nilang sa kanila mapunta ang spotlight? Hine-headline nyo pa pag bumibida yung mga senador at congressman, galit sila sa mga corrupt na BIR, barya lang yung kinuha nun, yung ninakaw nyo po, bilyon. Yung kinuha po nila, hindi pa pumasok sa kaban ng bayan, diretso galing sa bulsa ng mga ayaw magbayad ng tamang buwis, na gumamit ng mga law firms at mga professionals para maging fixers. Yung ninakaw nyo po, pumasok sa kaban ng bayan. So sa akin, doon natin simulan. O ngayon mag-usap na tayo. Facts ulit. So let me begin. Meron po tayong slide at makakakuha po kayo ng kopya kasi ang gusto po namin ang mailabas nyo sa balita at malaman ng taong bayan yung mga datos na ayaw nilang gamitin. Yung mga impormasyon na buong mundo alam naman pero parang sa atin puro opinion at politika lang. So tulungan niyo po kami, nandito din po si Prof. Shelo at Ann, para hindi lang kampihan, kung hindi mag-provide din ng linaw, paliwanag at iba pang datos. Mahalaga po na yung mga susunod na araw, buwan, lahat ng pag-uusap tungkol sa tax policy, whether i-abolish ang BIR at customs, base sa mga datos, hindi lang opinion. Wala akong pakialam kung ayaw nilang i-abolish ang BIR at customs. Hindi nila mababago ang katotohanan ng corrupt yung dalawang ahensya na yun. So, magandang umaga po ulit. As a former BIR examiner, now you know, I know what I'm talking about. And now working with policymakers and foreign investors through our company, the Asian Consulting Group, I have seen our tax system from both sides. And let me begin with a simple truth. Hindi po kulang ang buwis sa Pilipinas. Hindi rin mahirap ang Pilipinas. Kulang ang tiwala o mapagkakatiwalaan nga ba. Trust between taxpayers and government is very weak. And when trust is weak, compliance goes down. Ayaw magrehistro, ayaw magbayad ng buwis. Revenue leaks, sinasamantala ng mga mandaraya, tax evaders at smugglers. And investment slow. Investors are either waiting or leaving. The real issue is not tax rates. It is tax administration, how we design, implement, and enforce the system. That is why our proposal is clear. Reform tax administration through a national revenue authority. Hindi na po bago to, matagal na pong may mga panukala, hindi lang pinag-uusapan. So we are not the first to ask to abolish BIR and customs. We are not the first to even use the National Revenue Authority. But I guess we are the first to face you and to be in the news to claim that it's time. It's time to end corruption. It's time to end harassment. It's time to put corrupt politicians in jail by weaponizing the tax code not against ordinary and small taxpayers, but against the rich and powerful who are evading taxes. So some argue, including our incumbent commissioner, that the problem is mere governance, not structure. But when inefficiency and corruption persist, despite repeated reforms, we must ask, is the problem the people or the system itself? or both? A fragmented system breeds inefficiency. Too much discretion breeds corruption. At some point, reform is no longer incremental. It must be transformational. Let me say what many Filipinos feel today. Overtaxed but underserved. Have you heard it? Please use it until they pass the law. We are overtaxed and underserved. More than 30 taxes in all government, across all government agencies. Bawat bintana at pintuan may fees na sinisingil. Bawat labas at pasok sa Pilipinas may tax na sinisingil. We pay multiple taxes, iba-iba ang tawag. Income tax, value added tax, percentage tax, excise tax, estate tax, local taxes, plus compliance costs at malupit, marami pang penalties. Kumbaga, pag tayo ang na-delay magbayad, may penalty. Pag sila ang na-delay magbayad, tatakbo sila sa susunod na eleksyon para ituloy yung project. Yet, many still ask, nasaan ang serbisyo? Para saan ang buwis? Saan napupunta ang buwis? This perception matters. When people feel the system is unfair, compliance breaks down. Paying first world taxes, but receiving third world services. Hindi buwis ang problema. Ang sistema ang may butas. This is not a mere collection problem. This is a system design problem. A system that leaks, a system that allows discretion, a system that enables corruption. Paano nangyari ang isang maliit na negosyo may 1 milyong kita na assess ng 100 million at kapag naresibuhan 100,000 pesos? Paano nangyari yung isa biglang naging bilyonaryo pero net loss walang binayarang buwis? Whether siomay, kalamay o anuman niyang tinda nyo, may money laundering din yan. Pero bakit hindi sila nakakasuhan? Ang mga government contractors required annually tax clearance. Ibig sabihin, i-audit kung nagbayad ng buwis bago makasali sa government bidding. And for the last 10 years, patuloy na nakukuha ng kontrata. Huwag nating kalimutan ng Pharmally kung saan ako ang naging tax resource person. Pati ang mga shareholders, walang TIN number. And yet, bilyon-bilyon ang kontratang nakuha sa gobyerno. At yung mga sangkot na politiko nanalo pa sa sumunod na eleksyon. So, mga kaibigan namin sa media, datos, information, facts. Sana tulungan nyo kami na yan ang ipaintindi at paalam natin sa taong bayan. Kasi sa darating na eleksyon, ang daling baguhin na naman ng narrative. So, corruption, let's look at the global data. The Philippines, the recent report of the Transparency International, we also work with them in publishing our first book, Reimagining the World Without Corruption. Philippines scored 32, ranking 120th globally. We lag behind our ASEAN peers for the last 10 years. CPI score, ang highest natin, FYI, 100 is walang corruption, 0 is super corrupt. Tayo 32. Ang highest score natin, panahon ni Pinoy, 38. Panahon na ni Pinoy yun 38. So we are not saying gawa-gawa to ngayon lang. Matagal na siya. Pinipilit ayusin, pero for some reason, mas nagiging makapangyarihan at makapal ang mukha nila. Kanina lang nabanggit ni Wilson, tama ka Wilson, Al Capone case. Kung hindi natin sila mapakulong sa plunder at graft and corruption, pwede silang kasuhan ng tax evasion. Alam nyo na kung saan ang mga bahay nila. Alam nyo ba magkano ang sweldo ng congressman? Wala pang 300,000 per month. Paano sila nakabili ng bahay sa Forbes? Sabi nung isa, daw siya, successful na corporate lawyer. Bakit po mas malaki pa yung tax na binayaran ko sa'yo? Hindi ko naman sinabing successful na accountant ako. Sana yung kwento, nagtatagni, nagmamatch. Okay lang, sige, mag-flaunt ka, magyabang ka. Magbayad ka buwis. Huwag mo kaming paandaran. At ito walang apelido, walang politika. Kahit sino ka pa. Whether private citizen ka na may negosyo or politiko ka. Kung hindi ka nagbabayad ng buwis, dapat kasuhan ka. We lag behind, and for investors, this CPI or Corruption Perception Index is very important because it means corruption increases risk. It increases cost of doing business and reduces predictability. Corruption is not just a governance issue, it is a competitiveness issue. And tax administration is one of the most viable areas where the risk exists. That's why we publish an open letter to the president, not to criticize, but to support the reform. And we recognize the progress that has started. We see movement forward, risk-based audit, ease of doing business reforms, review of outdated taxes like the travel tax na nasama po sa priority bills. We acknowledge this, but these are small wins. These are important steps, but we respectfully submit. Hindi sapat ang barya, ang incremental reform. We need a system reform. So all of you will be receiving a copy of the open letter and the draft bill, and they were all sent to the Office of the President, the Senate, the Congress, the Department of Finance. I personally gave a copy to BIR Commissioner Charlie Mendoza yesterday, just to show that this has nothing to do with them, with the current leadership. This is a systemic problem. Our proposals are guided by three principles. Reduce the burden on Filipino people, improve collection without new taxes, and attract investments while protecting MSMEs. And this includes removing outdated taxes, rationalizing VAT, and providing income tax relief. Hindi dagdag buwis kung hindi mas maayos na sistema. So simulan natin sa travel tax kasi ito na yung nasa priority bill. The Philippines is the only ASEAN country with a travel tax. Alam niyo po ba yon? This was designed in a different era, martial law, 1977, kung saan hindi pinagbabawal pero dinidiscourage ang pagbiyahe sa ibang bansa para hindi lumabas ang dolyar. 2026 na anyari. And if they claim that this is for tourism infrastructure, sana po gumaan at bumaba ang halaga ng pag-travel sa Pilipinas. Dahil hindi naman. So, if the issue is budget, magaling naman kayo mag-insert. But hindi nyo na lang insert ang budget sa tourism infrastructure. So, we propose to abolish the travel tax. Hindi na po siya kailangan because we want to encourage Filipinos to travel the world, to learn, to see, and to dream para tumaas-taas din ang standard natin. Kasi mukhang pababa ng pababa. And today, it makes us less competitive. So, reform here is important, but it is only a small part of a bigger picture. Why? Because tourism is more than a 2 trillion industry. Yan po ang dapat sinusuportahan ng DTI, ng Department of Tourism, at DPWH, pati ng transportation para mas madali at hindi magastos bumiyahe sa Pilipinas. Removing travel tax may reduce revenue, 7 to 8 billion. But the solution is not to tax travel. The solution is to invest in infrastructure and reduce traveling around the Philippines. Policy should enable growth, not restrict it. Ngayon punta tayo sa isa pang malungkot na balita, the foreign direct investment. It has declined or dropped by 50%. And sa ranking ng FDI, if you will look at it, buti na lang po may Laos at Hello Cambodia. Kung hindi, bottom line tayo. We continue to trail ASEAN peers. For investors, the issue is no longer incentives, but it is reliability, integrity. We need to further improve not just ease of doing business, but also ease of paying taxes. Kaya nga ang panawagan namin sa BIR, huwag nyo nang bulabugin ng mga locators kasi nagmamarites din ang mga investors. They talk among themselves, and when we were in Europe, German, French, Spanish investors, they were saying, it's very costly to deal with your government, especially with BIR and customs. Why do they keep auditing us when we were granted tax incentives? Why do they keep penalizing us for documents that they keep asking when everything should be automated already? nakakahiya po. Binebenta natin yung Pilipinas and yet, yung mismo mga nag-invest na dito at nagne-negosyo dito, pinapahirapan ng BIR at customs. That's why digitalization is important but it's not the only solution. Kasi kung corrupt pa rin yung mga tao at yung sistema inaalaw pa rin siya, parang in-automate mo lang din ang corruption. Diba? Baka mas bumilis pa yung pag-transfer ng funds. Wala nang maleta. Diba? Digital na, diretso pa sa Cayman Island. Diba? Meron akong politiko, nakita kami sa Bahamas. Hindi ko alam kung anong bit-bit niya. Kwento ko sa inyo sa susunod na media conference. Kasi lagi niyo naman siya nakikita. Nasa Senado siya. Diba? So, that's why how would they rate us if we ask these investors or foreigners? Will they promote the Philippines? Because foreign tourists and investors are exactly the ones promoting Vietnam and Thailand to their friends and family. And I remember, this is another experience when we were in Poland and even in Warsaw and in Paris. We met a couple and they said, the CEO said, Prof, I learned about Vietnam because of my wife. Oh, I learned about Bali because of my wife too. I learned about Bangkok because of my daughter. Wala nagsabing I learned about the Philippines. Ibig sabihin, travel, tourism is directly connected to foreign investments. If they get to see the opportunities, the beauty of the Philippines, then they will come up with a business idea. They will see the investment opportunity. Eh kung sa Manila, NAIA pa lang, na traffic na, hindi na nakalabas ng NAIA. Pinatayan ako ng microphone. Kung hindi na nakalabas ng NAIA, eh paano pa maki-invest sa Philippines, di ba? Now, let's talk about VAT. Another interesting. Sabi ng matatalino nating lawmakers, sorry, I should have not said that. Baka hindi nila supportan yung bill namin. Matalino naman sila, especially si Congressman Miro Kimbo. Kaya Miro, galaw-galaw. So, i-abolish daw ang VAT. Eh, siraulo pala kayo. Saan tayo kukuha ng pondo at sweldo nyo? But we can reduce value-added tax because, yan, ASEAN ulit para maganda. We have the highest VAT rate. Number 1 at 12%. And bottom in terms or the last in terms of collection efficiency. Ang average po sa ASEAN, 57% collection efficiency. Propono, inaaway ako. 35 to 40%. Ibig sabihin, kahit ibaba mo pa na, itaas mo pa ng 20% ang VAT, it doesn't matter. Hindi mo makokolekta lahat. The same way, kahit ibaba mo siya ng 8%, kung mag-i-improve ang collection, then ma-offset yung mawawalang revenue. But you know, again, let's talk about the uncomfortable truth. Yung mga VAT exemptions po ng PWD at senior citizen, naaabuso din. At hindi po rin siya patas. Si senior citizen sa Rockwell, ang laki ng discount at VAT exemption sa mga department store, mga branded, mga labels at restaurants. Yung nanay ko sa Pampanga, sa palengke lang bumibili, wala siyang discount at VAT exemption. Patas po ba yun? Why can't we just give them direct subsidy, healthcare, free access to medication, a voucher for medicine? Kasi yun po ang kailangan ng mga lola natin, ng nanay ko. Why can't we give them a coupon where they can use it sa basic needs nila or pambawas ng electricity? Alam niyo po ba sa probinsya, karamihan hanggang ngayon ang nagbabayad ng kuryente, yung mga lolo't lola. Kasi yun yung tulong o contribution nila doon sa pamilya ng anak nila at dahil nakikitira sila. So may share pa rin siya. Why don't we give that kesa senior citizen discount and VAT exemption na disproportionately benefiting the rich, yung nasa Forbes, sa DASMA, versus yung mga lola natin sa probinsya. Ganon din ang PWD. Alam niyo po ba, ang PWD ID, LGUs ang nag-i-issue. So vote buying. Sinong gusto ng discount? Ito na ang PWD. May magagawa ba ang mga restaurants? Wala. Kasi may penalty pag hindi nila binigay ang discount at VAT exemption. So again, itong mga leakages na to, populist eh. Masaya tayo, iboboto natin sila pagka nung pinasa to. Pero pag inalis to, magagalit tayo, entitled na yung mga PWD senior citizen. But what we're saying, we can replace it with a better benefit na mas targeted at hindi naaabuso. So the VAT reform message is simple. Improve efficiency through digitalization, reduce leakages, rationalize exemptions. Ang sabi ni World Bank, umaabot ng more than half a trillion ang nawawala sa atin sa dami ng exemptions. Yung pag-reduce ng VAT from 12 to 10, ang estimate revenue loss nasa 300 billion lang. So imagine if we can really improve the collection, reduce, if not totally remove all the exemptions, bayanihan, hindi naman pwedeng, hindi, gusto ko exemption ko. No, we have to think of the country, of the everyone. Nakikinabang ba yung dapat makinabang? So distorted and equitable siya. So punta tayo ngayon, ito yung magandang balita para sa inyo. Meron ng ginhawa bill si Senator Win Gatchalian, but we want to be more ambitious. Ito na yung slide 11. Sa income tax relief, we are proposing to increase the income tax exemption of individuals, kasama po kayong lahat, from 250,000 pesos na hello, baryang-barya, kaya tayo third world, ganyan ang trato nila sa atin, to increase it to 1 million tax-free income. Every Filipino should be entitled for a 1 million income without paying any taxes. Ang Singapore po, they gave up to 3.6 million pesos or 80,000 Singaporean dollars as a relief. Since COVID until now, may child care support, may healthcare, puro coupons and tax relief. Sa Pilipinas, 250,000 na nga lang. Pero sa dami ng babayaran mo at inflation, kinain na. So we demand for a 1 million tax-free income. This will increase consumption and growth. Ibalik natin ang kita at kapangyarihan sa taong bayan. Now, the tax system is imbalanced. If you will look at the chart, 83% of our personal income tax galing sa manggagawang Pilipino employees. 83% galing po sa BIR yan. 83% ng nakolektang personal income tax, withholding tax ng mga empleyado. Tanong nyo magkano ang binayad ng mga lawyers, licensed professionals, o kasama nila nasa kongreso. Yung may mga successful lawyers, 4%. At yung mga sole proprietors na nagrehistro, kasi maraming ayaw magrehistro, 13%. So imagine that, the burden given to our employees. Kaya ayaw itaas yung exemption kasi talaga mabilis yung pagkawala ng koleksyon. Kasi captured sila, wala silang choice, withheld at source. But again, this is not fair, this is not equitable. We must shift enforcement to high-risk taxpayers para sila yung mapagbayad natin. Our principle is clear. Tax the right base, not the easiest target. In short, tax the rich, not the poor, not the MSMEs. Focus on tax evasion, smuggling, corruption, hindi yung non-compliance, walang books of accounts, hindi nag-issue ng resibo, may bura yung resibo, kulang ng address yung resibo. Talaga ba, BIR? Tax 101 tayo. If we want collection, let's go after the big fish. Now, since we're talking about big, kailangan ng koleksyon ng gobyerno. Ang OECD kakabisita lang sa atin. Ang tanong ko nga kay Commissioner, hindi niyo ba pinag-usapan yung global minimum tax? Because until now, after 3 years or more than 4 years since former Secretary Jokno signed the inclusive agreement or framework, hanggang ngayon, hindi pa rin natin na-i-implement yung 15% global minimum tax. Ano po ang ibig sabihin nito? Para makakolekta tayo ng buwis sa Amazon, sa mga fintech companies, sa mga large multinationals na nagpa-profit shifting papunta sa Ireland, sa mga tax haven. Tapos dito sila kumikita ng bilyon-bilyon, pero wala silang buwis na binabayaran dito. Tapos ang hinahabol ni BIR, yung MSMEs. So may mali eh. So yung malalaking multinationals, hindi nagbabayad dito, pero wala tayong magawa. So we urge the Department of Finance to prioritize adopting and implementing the OECD 15% global minimum tax. Other countries collect the tax. Otherwise, other countries will collect the tax. As usual, we're lagging behind again. Vietnam, Thailand, and several countries in Asia have adopted and implemented the global minimum tax. So estimated foregone revenue, dahil busy ang Kongreso at Senado sa pamumulitika, almost 200 billion ang foregone revenue. This is revenue from large multinationals and tech giants, Amazon, Google, Facebook, who are shifting their profit while making money in the Philippines and paying zero tax. So we must capture this revenue. Now, let's go to the core message of this conference. Let me be clear, this is not just a governance issue. This is a system design issue. We have a fragmented agencies, weak data integration, high discretion. And where discretion is high, corruption risk is high. That is why we need system reform. So ito na po, this is the centerpiece of our proposal, the National Revenue Authority. And we have already submitted the draft bill. Siyempre, hindi naman po kami lawmaker. So we have to submit it to senators and congressmen para i-sponsor or adopt nila. So the National Revenue Authority, a structural reform to modernize revenue administration. So 7 key features. Integrated revenue system, unify BIR and customs, one system, one data, one strategy. Eliminates fragmentation, reduces leakages, improves coordination, more complete and accurate data. Second, corporate-style governance, professional board and CEO, not coterminous with the president, clear accountability, performance-driven management, less politics, more professionalism. Fiscal autonomy, hindi na po hihingi ng pera sa Kongreso. They can retain portion of revenues for modernization like a GOCC. Invest in digital system, hindi aasa sa foreign grants. Invest in people. That is the performance-based compensation. Alam niyo po ba magkano ang sahod ng isang BIR examiner? Guess. 10? 20? 25. So that's 25 to 30,000 pesos. And you're asking them to collect 100 million, 1 billion. So wag na tayo magtaka kung bakit pag may maglalagay, tatanggap sila. At wag na rin kayo magtanong kung corrupt sila kasi naglagay kayo, malamang tumanggap sila. At yung mababang sweldo na yon, that's also the reason why yung mga gustong maging matino, hindi pumapasok sa BIR. Yung gusto ng easy money, magka-kotse kagad, magka-kondo, mag-examiner ka. Ako na nagsasabi sa inyo, in 3 months, success. Pag sinwerte ka in 1 week, pag jumakpat ka sa unang araw mo, pak, 1 million. Bakit? May willing maglagay, nagulat pa kayo. Sabi nga ng isang kaibigan ko nakatira sa Forbes, sabi niya, Mon, ang kapal na mukha ng BIR examiner, nagbibigay ng seminar, Birkin na bag. Alam mo ba kung magkano yun? Magkano yung Birkin? Mga 3 million. Sabi ko, di ba naglagay ka last week ng 2 million? O hindi ko nagbayad nun? Ganun ba yun? Malamang, hindi naman nila ibabangko yan. Hindi naman sila tanga. Diba? So, kaya dito sa National Revenue Authority, talagang professional, maayos ang sahod, mas mataas sa BSP, hello. Yung BSP nag-print lang ng papel eh. Yung BIR nangolekta. So, dapat sila mas mataas. Siyempre, bias ako, dati ako examiner. Nung examiner po ako, 2009, 5,000 pesos po every payday. So, it reduces corruption, reduces corruption incentives. Kailangan maayos ang benepisyo ng mga tao. So what happens dun sa mga tao? They will be offered an early retirement, but they will also be given the option to move to the new agency. But again, may proseso. At syempre, mas madaling kasuhan kapag gumawa ng mali. Kasi ngayon, para sabi nga, buti na lang, may 21 daw na kinasuhang BIR examiner. Alam niyo po ba ilan ang BIR examiners? Less than almost 5,000. So ang sinasabi mo sa akin, 21 lang yung corrupt. So ano nangyari doon sa 4,900 something? So hindi fair. Sabi naman ng isang mambabatas, hindi ko napapangalanan. Dapat may masampulan, may makulong. Ay, naku po, Senator. Naku po, yan din po ang gusto namin. Sana may masampulan, may makulong na senador. May makasuhan na tax evader. Parehas po pala yung wish natin, magkaiba lang ng tao. Kasi bakit gugustuhin mong sampulan yung BIR examiner? Ang liit lang niya. Eh yung ninakaw namang congressman at senador mas malaki. So again, ang punto dito hindi nga yung amount yung accountability. Yung examiner, bihirang-bihira ako na po magsasabi sa inyo kasi mamaya meron din kaming live na nakapokus naman sa corruption ng BIR audit. Bihira po na ang BIR mismo yung manghaharas. Madalas, nahaharas talaga yung taxpayer sa dami ng requirements, sa laki ng assessment at hindi alam ang gagawin. Or may fixer siya na kumakat din. Madalas, napag-usapan na nila yan o alam na nila yan. Kaya nga, systemic yung problem. At hindi siya ma-address ng performative na Blue Ribbon investigation. Na yung nagtatanong, may kaso din. Diba? Kayo na lang, sige. Tapos imbitahan pa ako. Damay niyo pa ako dyan. Si Parmalig, hindi pa ako nakamove on. Wala pa nakasuhan kahit isa. Walang nakasuhan. Tapos nag-number 1 pa sa Senado yung, next, strengthen. Ito para kay digitalization and risk-based audit. So pinakamahalaga talaga is hindi bulabugin lahat ng taxpayers. Kaya sabi ko kahapon kay Commissioner, dalawang bagay po, BAR Charlie, ang gusto kong maramdaman namin. Una, hindi kami dapat ino-audit ni BIR kasi ordinaryong taxpayers lang kami. Yun po ang unang magpapatunay na may pagbabago kapag hindi na ino-audit ang mga ordinaryong MSMEs. Pangalawa, pag may nakasuhang korap at makapangyarihang politiko. So, ulitin ko po. Yung sinasabi nilang risk-based, maniniwala kami dyan dahil sinusuportahan namin yan. Kung hindi na ino-audit lahat, hindi po pwedeng paramihan, pakyawan. Kahit 10 lang ang i-audit nyo, patulugin nyo, pagbakasyon nyo, pag-retreatin nyo yung mga examiner nyo. O kaya paikutin nyo sa palengke, pagturuin nyo ng Tax 101, total magaling sila doon. Kahit 10 lang, paikutin nyo sa mga exclusive subdivision, hanapin nyo lahat ng transfer ng titles ng mga mansyon. I-check nyo kung may mga tax return yung mga yan, o at least in number. Pag may nakasuhan po kayo, maniniwala po kami sa bagong Pilipinas. Nag-automate mo na siya kasi baka ma-record nyo. Okay? So, that's why digitalization may come a while, may take a while, but the risk-based, pwede dapat datin maramdaman kagad yan. Walang ordinaryong maliliit na taxpayers ang dapat ino-audit. Kahit nagkamali yan, hindi sapat. Mas malaki pa yung cost mo kaysa sa impact. Strengthen enforcement, better access to data, of course, lifting bank secrecy para talagang mahabol ang mga big-time tax evaders, smugglers, and money launderers. Kaya nga nagulat ako Paano nangyari na may mga naglo-launder ng pera in disguise sa mga biglang lumaking kumpanya at successful na entrepreneur, whether beauty products yan o pagkain yan. Tapos hindi sila na-audit ni BIR. Samantalang yung iba na talagang MSMEs, naghahanap na ng fixer dahil sa buwan-buwan, ginugulo sila ni BIR. Now, hindi ito pangarap kasi global benchmarking, countries like Singapore, UK, Canada, and even Malaysia have already adopted this. So higher efficiency, higher compliance, lower corruption risk. So the Philippines will just have to align with the global standards. So why does this matter? For policymakers, higher revenue efficiency. For investors, predictability and transparency. For Filipinos, fairness and trust. Because tax administration reform is an economic and investment reform. And reimagining the world po. One of my courses in Harvard was corruption, finding it and fixing it, which led me to writing and publishing the Reimagining the World Without Corruption. And this book is now available at the US Library of Congress. So ano po ang mahalaga dito? The experience shared there is not just the Philippines, but Philippines is one of the case study. Kasama po dyan sa libro na yan, yung case ng Farmally. So if you are interested, it's available also on Amazon Kindle. And what our experience in the Philippines is no different. As a developing country, we have more challenges, but we also have so much opportunities to improve and become better if we will face our problem and not look away. So ito po ang gusto naming sabihin. Kung gusto nating umangat, kailangan nating ayusin ang sistema. At handa po kaming makipagtulungan sa gobyerno dahil naniniwala kami na governance is a shared responsibility. And that's what we've been doing in promoting the Philippines, working with the Board of Investment, the Philippine Economic Zone Authority, the Philippine embassies, and trade attaches around the world to attract more foreign investors. And back home, working with our policymakers. So before I leave our for our international roadshow, I will make sure that we have discussed all these tax policy proposals. And we have forged partnership, identified allies and champions like Prof. Shelo and Anne. And hopefully with our friends in media, our story will not end here, that we will continue discussing it in all platforms until our government will listen and act on it. We continue this work globally, engaging investors, governments, and institutions to position the Philippines as a credible investment destination. But we need to improve on a lot of things, especially in addressing corruption and ending bureaucracy. Let me end with this. The time for incremental reform has passed. We cannot continue burdening compliant taxpayers, losing investments, tolerating inefficiencies. Kailangan na nating kumilos. We need a modern system, a digital system, a transparent system, not just to collect taxes, but to restore trust, grow the economy, and protect the Filipino people. Tayo ang babago sa Pilipinas. Kaya tax reform now. Maraming salamat po.